Hi, everybody. So your next project is going to be this alphabet project. Okay, it kind of employs some of the things that we've already been doing with text. So just a quick note here. In the PDF, I mentioned the use of values. In the past, this has very much been about like quantitative values made through quantitative lines or quantitative marks, similar to what you might get in like, concentration. But since we have those markers, I thought we'd employ them. So I would like you to use at least two values from your marker set for this project. How many can you use? I don't know. If you want to use 7, then go ahead and use 7. But, at least 2 have to be used. And so, yes, you're going to see lots of examples where we see some value created by the quantity of marks, dots, or lines. But I also want you to use your markers. Now, you can definitely use those two things in conjunction with one another. That would be rad too. But I'm definitely um, uh, hoping that you see the value, haha, in using the markers that you have as a set. So I'm going to go to full screen here on our video, and I just want to make sure that it is still sharing here. So I think that it is. So basically this project is kind of around this idea of text fun, so we're going to design your own legible alphabet using a picture-based approach. We're going to use English language alphabet for this. It's a smaller number of characters, and can be, I'd like to speak to that history of utilizing pictorial letters in Western design and art. So what we're going to be examining here is this idea of the fine line between a pictorial font that communicates clearly and one that does not. So that would be a font perhaps that's so pictorial that it doesn't communicate well. And so we have to find that line. So when we look here at this alphabet, we can see that there is a very clear, visible format to the characters. They do have pictorial elements, but they are still legible as characters of a English language alphabet. So when we look at different types of fonts, we can see how those fonts can be playfully, explored in terms of their dimensionality. So for instance, like this K is quite dimensional. It has two planes visible versus like, for instance, this H that is not dimensional in any way. The H, though, however, has a value base to it that is, on the front plane, whereas the K has two values to it. And so the more dimensionality you have, the more opportunity for values based on dimensional planes can come into play. That doesn't mean to say that this one is less, functional than this one. It just means to say they're doing different things. So as you look at the examples, and you can find lots of examples online, see what kind of text or font stimulates like your visual interest, and use that as the beginning place for your own alphabet. So you're going to use your dotted paper pad, your sketchbook, do 15 thumbnails of different letter ideas. So this is where you would explore, like, here are all these different letter ideas. Something about 1 inch by 1 inch. Each thumbnail should be the same letter. So what does that mean? That means that you're going to do 15 thumbnails. Each thumbnail will be the same letter, but it's 15 different interpretations of the same letter. That's going to be helpful for you because you're not quite worrying yet about the way that like an R might look versus like a T. Then you're going to select your 8 best thumbnail ideas and blow them up to 2 by 2, include more detail, and look for similarities between typical proportions and typical positive negative relationships. Perhaps those typical relationships that we see in text, maybe they're not necessary. So I'm thinking a little bit about here, like, I don't know, like here the is all filled in black, but if that black part of that negative space wasn't there, it would still read as a D. And so some letters you can get away with that, some letters you can't. So just some things to explore. Then you're going to select your 4 best thumbnails, enlarge them to 6x6, focus on detail and clarity of idea, bring in values to create interesting textures and dimensionality, use micron, use markers up to 6 values per alphabet total, but a minimum of 2. And so here in this first one, you're only using the same letter, and then quickly in step 2, you start exploring different letters because you're exploring proportions and positive and negative relationships that can switch between different letters. And now here you're using your 4 best thumbnails of these ones to enlarge them to 6x6, okay? Maximum of 6 values, but a minimum of 2, okay? So let me write that in there, minimum of 2 values. Now, sorry, it's hard to write with this. Okay, so then once you've done that, select your 2 best thumbnails. Okay, and then those should be on separate sketchbook sheets. And with those ideas, your 2 best ideas of what your different designs might be, then you're going to make the entire alphabet using that theme, okay? So that's just something to kind of think about and be playful with. Create a final drawing of your entire alphabet on Bristol paper. Finish it with either pen or marker or both, okay? So you're gonna use both because you're gonna use the marker and the pen. You can use up to 4 sheets of Bristol to complete the whole alphabet. Do not attempt to do it on 1 sheet. I think that'd be really hard. However, if you only have 1 sheet left, then maybe that is what you need to do. Okay. But if you only have 1 sheet left, you might also want to run out and get some more. I did just get some Bristol at Michael's. It was a really nice quality, and it was $5 a pad, and it was a really good buy. So you can get Bristol at Michael's. Just make sure that it is vellum Bristol, not rough Bristol. So here's some examples from different types of designers of different types of letters. Look at this, such an intricate letter. And here are some historical examples of how, for instance, in this one, we have this figurative approach where the figures become the letters, okay? A decorative sort of ornamental approach. And then this one's really fun too. It's very similar to this, which seems more historic than this one. But it's very similar for it's got, color. These are some examples for students. So we have some examples that are really nice and clean and clear, and then a couple that have good concepts, but just really are not very clean. And so we start to question, like, are these pipes hairy? Is this hair coming out of these pipes? Here, like, seems very minimal. Is it too minimal? Here we have sort of like lots of moments that become questions about what's happening in this design. And so you want to remember that you always want to give us the most clear design possible. Some nice, strong examples from students. We can see that they have utilized just 1 sheet. It's going to take some planning. That's going to take some preparation. All of your work, y'all, all of your work as we come to the end here, I'm looking for how are you using your space. So space here being the positive space of the letters versus the negative space around the letters. If your design is, if these are supposed to be in a straight line across this picture plane on horizontal and vertical grid structures, and it's not even, and those lines that are supposed to be horizontal aren't horizontal, those lines that are supposed to be vertical aren't vertical, that's really going to hinder the success of design. Now, this is an interesting question, which is like on this design, does that Z work? Is it, it's just sitting there by itself. Is that okay? Well, if we moved it to the center, it might be more centered, but I think also at that point too, it might also feel a bit too alone on that last layer. You think about that. You think about what you think is appropriate. I don't mind it. I would like it centered, but I don't mind it where it is either. So thoughtfulness, be thoughtful about how you lay out your space. This is the alphabet I made from all these different examples from all these different students. And then when we look inside here, I also have some examples from the past quarter. So this is a student's thumbnails, and then their larger thumbnails, and then their whole alphabet, two whole alphabets, and then their final product, okay? Value shown by the dots. I really wish that we had had a chance to bring marker values into this. I think it would have been great. Here's another one, lots of really nice thumbnails, really nice like Art Deco text, fun animal-based text, lots of imagination. And then, so this is their final sketch and then their final design spread across 3 pieces of Bristol. So you're going to be evaluated on the completion of your thumbnails, the completion of your 2 finished alphabet sketches, the final design concept, the final design success, and the overall quality. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I hope you have fun with this project, and I can't wait to see what you make.